All right, today we're diving into a piece of history that is, well, incredibly complicated and honestly often misunderstood. We're talking about the experience of Jewish people living under the great Islamic Caliphates, and it's a story that really seems to pull in two completely different directions. You know, when you start looking into this, you hear these two totally contradictory stories, right? On one hand, you hear about this incredible golden age, a time of amazing tolerance and cultural achievement. But then you hear this other story, one of systemic discrimination and, at times, brutal persecution. So what's the real deal? Which one is true? Well, as we're about to see, the reality is way more interesting than either of those simple stories.
So, to really get to the bottom of this apparent contradiction, we have to start with one single foundational idea. It's a legal concept that shaped the lives of Jews and Christians for centuries, and honestly, it is the key to understanding everything else.
And that concept is called dhimmi. So what does it mean? Well, think of it like a pact, a deal. If you were a non-Muslim, what was called a person of the book, the Islamic State would promise to protect your life, your property, and even your freedom to practice your religion. The catch? In return, you had to promise your loyalty to the ruler and pay a special tax. So it was this formal legal status of being, well, protected. But here's where it gets complicated. This slide shows you the built-in tension, the real push and pull of the whole system. On the one hand, you've got some pretty significant rights. Freedom of religion, the right to govern your own community, and the protection of the state. That's huge. But on the other hand, it came with a clear understanding that you were subordinate. You had to pay that special tax, the jizya, there were social restrictions, and you were officially second class in the eyes of the law compared to Muslims. This duality, this tension, is really the engine of our whole story.
So, let's start with the good stuff. What happens when that protection side of the deal really shines? Well, that's when you get what people famously call the golden age.
In certain places, at certain times, this protected status allowed Jewish communities not just to get by, but to absolutely flourish. I mean, we see these incredible hubs of Jewish life, of art, science, and business popping up in major cities like Cordoba in Spain, Baghdad at the very heart of the Abbasid Empire, and Cairo under the Fatimids.
And this timeline from Al-Andalus, or Islamic Spain, just shows you how high people could rise. In the 10th century, of a Jewish doctor and scholar, Hasdai ibn Shaprut, serving as the caliph's top advisor, his vizier. A century later, you get this explosion of amazing Hebrew poetry. And then in the 12th century, the legendary philosopher Maimonides is born right there in Cordoba. This wasn't just a fluke. It was a real, genuine golden age of culture and intellect.
But, and this is a huge but, that's only one side of the coin. Now we have to look at how fragile it all was, and how it could all come crashing down. Because the very same system that allowed for a golden age also, sadly, contained the seeds of its own collapse.
And here's the absolute key to understanding everything. That dhimmi status, it wasn't a set of guaranteed inalienable rights like we might think of today. It was a privilege, and it was granted by the ruler. So, a tolerant, practical caliph could choose to emphasize the protection part of the deal, and communities thrived. But a more rigid, fanatical, or just insecure ruler could easily decide to emphasize the subordinate part. As you can see, everything, absolutely everything depended on who was sitting on the throne.
And when that protection was pulled away, the consequences were just catastrophic. This quote, it describes what happened when a new, much more fundamentalist dynasty, the Almohads, conquered Spain in the 12th century. They just tore up the Dhimmi Pact. This is what ended the Golden Age in Spain and forced people like Maimonides and his family to flee for their lives.
And you know, this wasn't just lightning striking out of a clear blue sky. There was often a predictable, tragic pattern. It starts with a new, more zealous group taking power. Then they start enforcing those old, humiliating restrictions more strictly. Then maybe the economy goes bad, and suddenly that protected but different Jewish community becomes a really easy scapegoat. And the final step? The pact is broken completely, and tolerance is replaced by forced conversions and violence.
So, how do we put these two realities together? The incredible golden age on one hand, and this horrifying persecution on the other. The answer is, we have to stop trying to find one simple story, because there isn't one.
The truth is that the Jewish experience was a whole spectrum. At one end, you have that incredible flourishing we saw in Cordoba. At the complete other end, you have violent, active persecution. But for most people, for much of the time, life was probably somewhere in the middle, a kind of stable, everyday coexistence, all defined by that unique status of being protected, but still second class.
So what pushed things one way or the other?
This chart breaks it down perfectly. It really boiled down to a few key things. The ruler's attitude was number one. Was he tolerant and pragmatic, or fanatical? The economy mattered too. Was it a prosperous time, or were things unstable and declining? And even geography played a role. A big cosmopolitan city was usually a much better bet than some politically unstable frontier zone. The fate of entire communities could hang on these things.
And that really brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. The dhimmi system wasn't really good or bad. It was both. It had the potential for both incredible periods of cooperation and terrible moments of intolerance baked right into its DNA. The system itself created the possibility for both of those extremes to happen.
Which leaves us with a final question to think about. When we realize that a single system, a single framework, can create outcomes as different as a golden age and violent persecution, well, it forces us to look past simple labels. It makes you wonder, what are the conditions today? The attitudes, the economic pressures, the political decisions. They can either build bridges or maybe reignite some of these very old and dangerous patterns of conflict. It's something worth thinking about.